The brave men and women who have served our country faithfully often need our help to successfully transition back into civilian life. Brave Radio is here to highlight veterans and the companies who are making a difference in our veteran community. And now, the host of Brave Radio, Eve Nasby.
Brave Radio, where we are focused on engaging our veterans and making a difference in our business community. I'm your host, Eve Nasby, here to highlight the best and brightest that San Diego and this nation have to offer. We have a great show planned today, so let's get started. First with us in studio is my good friend, John Osborne from AT&T. John, welcome.
Thank you. Glad to be here, Eve.
You know what? We have a great time here on the show, highlighting companies that are doing great things for veterans. And AT&T has made a tremendous impact on our veterans and our veteran community. So please let us know. Can you kind of touch on what AT&T is doing specifically? We're going to talk about a couple topics, but right now about veteran hiring.
Glad to do that. You know, I'm really proud of the work we've done at AT&T in regards to hiring of veterans. About 5 years ago, AT&T committed to hiring 5,000 veterans over 5 years.
Oh my goodness.
Now, after the first year, just leading up to the first year, we had hired over 1,800 at that point. Wow. And then the organization decided to double down on the hiring. So we committed in 2013 to hiring 10,000 veterans over 5 years.
Wow.
And we're well on our way to meeting that goal. We've already hired over 7,000 veterans.
Now, are those positions for the veterans that are listening? Pay attention. Are they here in San Diego, California? Where are they?
All across the United States. And AT&T is a global company, so we have jobs all over the world. But at any one point in time, we have about 2,500 jobs that are open. And we are more than pleased to fill those with veterans. And we have jobs really across the gamut from, finance to technicians, IT guys. It really runs the gamut. So, we're really pleased to bring veterans onto our team.
No, I don't want to date you or anything, but you have been with AT&T for how many years?
31 years.
31 years. You started when you were 3.
Predecessors. Yes, I was 5.
You were 5. Okay. So this is a great company to get into and to really stay in for life.
Well, AT&T offers a lot of benefits, and of course, it's a stable company, and there's a lot of good perks to working for a company that size, and it's a good career for anybody. It's been good for me.
That is awesome. So let's move on to, I want to talk about what you guys do for ancillary companies here in San Diego and across the nation that actually help veterans. Talk about that.
Well, AT&T and through the AT&T Foundation, we do a lot of work with nonprofits, both locally and nationwide. And so we, participate in the community where we can in all aspects, and we've done a lot in the veteran community. One of the things I'm really excited about right now is United Through Reading. And we gave them a grant last year, a pretty significant grant. And what they do is they enable active duty military to go in and read a book and record it on video. And then they take a DVD and send it home to the family they can hear mom or dad read a story to the kids while they're deployed. I think it's pretty cool.
That is very cool. If I were Andrea Kay, I'd be grabbing a tissue right now. That is awesome. Well, what else do you guys do?
Well, one of the unique things we did last year is through an organization called DonorChoose.org, we flash funded a whole bunch of teachers in the community at schools that have military or connections to the military and students of military folks, and we flash funded 180 different programs that they have so that they could go out and create something that the teachers wanted to do, not the normal curriculum. So that was kind of a unique thing for us. For a long time, we've done stuff like cell phones for soldiers. We've done prepaid calling cards for our active duty.
Okay, you have to tell the story. Before we got on air, you told an amazing story. So would you mind sharing about the calling cards?
Well, a few years ago, we participated in an event with the School of Infantry. It was organized by the Carlsbad Chamber of Commerce, and we had a car show. And as each of the School of Infantry fellows came through, or ladies, we handed them off a calling card, as an AT&T calling card. And a little later on in the day, about a block away, I moseyed on down, and there was a large phone bank there, about 20 phones. They were all full. Guys had their feet up. They had already grabbed the cards, were using them, were calling home. We had a photographer taking some shots. We sent it into Time magazine. It was the story of the month for Time Online, and then they published it in the hard copy version as well. So that was exciting. You're having an impact right away.
You are. You definitely are. And I think the moms were probably sending you money so you could give those cards to honey, call home. That's great. Tell me more. You guys have a lot going on.
Well, we have a lot of programs for veterans, and I think your listeners might be interested in some of those programs that we have. We have a military talent attraction program at AT&T, and so we really focused on helping people in the military try and translate their skills that they've learned in active duty into how would they use those in the civilian world. And so not just for AT&T, but they could take that to any company. So I think that's one of the challenges that people getting out of the military face, and so we're trying to come up with tools to help them. We do a lot of things on the hiring of vets. As I mentioned, there's a website that we have called att.jobs/military, where they can go in and see, how AT&T is recruiting folks who are getting out.
Not to interrupt, but you talked about that MOS translator. So they can go in and they can look at what their MOS was.
That's
and then
correct.
Figure out what positions. Will it tell them what positions within AT&T they're well qualified for?
Well, it'll really give them just a better handle on their skills and how to translate that into the civilian workforce. So it's not necessarily specific to AT&T, but generic to business.
Okay. So anybody can go on there, any veteran military person.
Absolutely. And that'll help them translate their skills for jobs, across the board, not just at AT&T, but anywhere.
You're listening to Brave Radio here on KCBQ AM 1170 The Answer, streaming live on the web at am1170theanswer.com. I'm your host, Eve Nasby, here with my good friend John Osborne from AT&T. We're talking about the great programs that AT&T has for veterans. And we just talked about this web service. What else is online for our veterans?
Well, once you get to a company, you need some support. And so we have an employee resource group. We have a number of them at our company, but one of them is specifically for veterans. And so we have over 7,000 members in that group. So a veteran can connect with other veterans. And really, it starts out around service to the community and things that they might do outside of work. But to have a mentor there, somebody who has been through what they have been through, now they're coming on, they're getting a different way of life put together on the civilian side. And so sometimes they need a little support, and that resource group is there for those folks. So it's just been really strong. And then they go out and do great work in the community too. And it's just a win-win all the way around.
And AT&T is so large, and there might be companies out there that are listening that are saying, well, I'm not AT&T. I don't have the finances. I don't have the resources to go out and donate money or invest a lot of money into hiring veteran programs. But what you can do is the ERG group. Take a look at the veterans that are in the community of your organization and get them together. And it does a couple of different things that, like you touched on, John, brings that camaraderie, spirit of core. You've got this, you understand what I've been through, and that's a wonderful thing. But it also is a great recruiting ground because good people refer good people. And so if you're a company out there that's looking for veterans, one of the tricks of the trade is to develop that ERG group and then go to that ERG group and say, okay, guys, who do you know that's just like you that we can hire into these positions?
Well, and a lot of the folks that we've hired have brought their friends in.
Exactly.
And so it just kind of snowballs from there. We have the advantage of having a lot of openings, at any one point in time, as I mentioned, but the ability to bring somebody in that is of like mindset and you think can be successful, that's always a great recruiting tool for any company.
Well, my hat's off to you, John. You've done a lot, not only nationally, but locally as well. You're a big supporter of the Veterans Association of North County. They've got a CTAP program. They've got a building that you guys helped put some technology in. So, thank you for all that you're doing here in the community. We're running out of time, so give us a little bit more information about what AT&T is doing out there.
Okay. Well, one of the things that we have committed to is our supplier diversity program, and AT&T has been known for a long time in meeting and exceeding goals that are set by the Public Utilities Commission. We've really set the bar for that, and we've included veterans in that. So we're spending money with veteran-owned businesses, and we're desirous of doing so. So if you're a veteran who has their own business, would like to do business with AT&T, you can get in touch with our procurement program, and if you can provide a valuable service as well or better than anybody else, then we want to spend money with you. So that's an important part. And then lastly is just the recognition that AT&T has received from a number of magazines and companies. We were number 7 on the 2015 Best for Vets employer by Military Times.
Wow.
GI Jobs magazine recognizes AT&T as one of the top 50 companies to do business for or business with, and there's a number of them out there. I don't want to go through all of them, but we've gotten some good feedback from companies that are evaluating how we're doing with veterans, and we're really proud of that.
And you should be. And actually, Amerit Consulting, my company, has been we've received the help that AT&T has given to service-disabled veteran-owned businesses. We were part of a program where you actually mentored us back in the day. So from our standpoint, we thank you for all that you're doing for not only our veterans, but our disabled veteran-owned businesses and our veteran-owned businesses. You guys are amazing. So tell us how we can get a hold of you. If there's people listening that want to get a hold of you regarding jobs or becoming a part of the network of the disabled veteran-owned businesses, where do they go?
Well, the best thing I can do is probably give you some information to put up on your Facebook page.
Your cell phone number?
We can put that out there. I'd be happy to talk to anybody.
Okay.
But we can give you some resources for people to look at, and then if they want to contact me, feel free to follow up with me, and we'll put you in touch with the right folks.
Okay, that's it for our listeners. You guys can definitely jump on. For us, it's tweet at Brave Jobs or on our Facebook page, and we will put all of that information from John here at AT&T. John Osborne, thank you so much for being a part of our show.
Eve, it's been a pleasure. You're the best.
I know. You're listening to Brave Radio, where we focus on matching veteran talent with innovative companies that make a difference in our community and in our nation. Follow us on Twitter at Brave Jobs or like us on Facebook to stay up to date with the latest news and trends. I'm your host, Eve Nasby, and we will be right back after this short break. Don't go away. Tired of your employees being late?
There was so much traffic.
Tired of poor excuses and poor presentations?
My kid ate my homework.
Tired of employees just not being able to handle the pressure?
You mean I gotta work a full 8 hours today?
Skip the hassles and excuses and hire individuals that are trained in leadership, confident in their abilities, adaptable to change, and focused on teamwork. Hire a veteran. More than just a patriotic gesture, hiring a veteran of the United States military comes with a host of benefits and tax credits and can provide your company with valuable leadership, organization, and accountability. Allow the Brave to help your progressive business connect with qualified veteran candidates today and find out more by visiting thebrave.us. That's THEBRAVE.US. Welcome back. You're listening to Brave Radio, where we focus on matching veteran talent with innovative companies that make a difference in our community and in our nation. With us on this next segment is one of my most favorite people on the entire planet, Maurice Wilson. Maurice, welcome.
Good to be here.
I'm so excited that you're here. So many good things going on. So for those listeners who don't know who you are, I don't know where you've been living, but we're going to talk to you about Maurice. Maurice, tell us, first of all, about your service to this great nation and how you got involved with what is now known as Operation ReBoot.
So I'm a retired Navy Master Chief, served for 26 years, retired in 1998. In 2009, I got bit by the bug to serve veterans, and I have been doing that ever since then.
It is a bug. It's a passion. I think we bleed red, white, and blue.
But what got us into it was there's an organization out there called the Call of Duty Endowment, and they make the video game Black Ops and all that. And myself and Ronnie Froman, she's a retired Rear Admiral, we both became members of Activision's Call of Duty Endowment group, and the focus of this group is to fund organizations that are helping veterans get jobs.
Okay.
And so in the capacity of vetting out these different organizations, that's when we got the bug of, wait a minute, all of the work that's being done, and there's some great work that's being done by great organizations out there, Easter Seals, Goodwill, et cetera, et cetera. But right now, the problem is, how do we stop this flow of veterans kind of falling off the cliff, if you will? So when you look at Transition Assistance Program, which they're trying their best to do what they can to help, it doesn't go far enough to really provide the needs and help individuals with what's going on in their lives in terms of transitioning back to civilian life. So that's when it started. And we looked at that and we said, hey, nobody's doing a reverse boot camp. And then we did it.
Awesome. So talk about in boot camp, you are retraining your brain, right? Or in your body, you're kind of breaking people down in boot camp in the military. And then they come out and it's a whole new world. It's the civilian world, and nobody breaks them back down and rebuilds them back up. And that is what ReBoot does, right?
It's transformational.
Okay.
So coming in the military is transformational. And so you know, as you are as a civilian, it won't necessarily work for the military. We got to get you in the right mindset.
Yes.
And that 8 to 13 weeks is what the military does to really get your brain tuned into the op tempo of the military. But no one undoes that coming out, which is the big challenge.
Yes.
And that's what ReBoot does.
So talk about that from the inside out. How long is it? Who are their instructors? What exactly are they doing?
So we call it cognitive restructuring. So you can either be changed from the outside in, which is behavior modification, which takes place in boot camp, or you can change from the inside out, which is cognitive restructuring. So we provide a 3-week workshop. It's kind of heavy-duty psychology-based work, if you will, that actually helps the person transform themselves from the inside out. So when they get out, they can become who they want to be versus still staying in that loop of what they were told to be.
It's tremendous. So how does one get involved with ReBoot from the veteran perspective? And can spouses, military families, those types of folks also get involved in this?
Everyone. We're accessible for everyone. It doesn't matter what war. It doesn't matter where you are, veteran, transition, military, spouse. Everybody's eligible. It's really more or less first come, first serve. And the goal really is to help as many people as we can transform their lives into what they want to be. It's totally free.
It's amazing. So I've had the privilege of being at one of your graduations, and I seriously wanted to hire everybody I met. But I also heard some remarkable stories from married couples who say, Maurice, this program saved our marriage. It saved our family. Tell us about that.
Well, you know, that's one of the proudest sides of what we do. When you see individuals and families come back and wives come in and say, look, I got my husband back. I'm reconnected to my family. Now I know who I am. I know what I want to do. When I got out of the military, I was just stuck. I really didn't figure it out. In fact, of the 200,000 people getting out of the military every year, 80% don't know what they want to do next.
Unbelievable.
And when you ask them, okay, well, why don't you just do what you did while you were in the military? You know what they're going to say? I don't want to do that anymore. And then the following question is, well, what is it that you want to do?
Right.
Then the response is, well, I'm not sure. And so we're the only organization that I know of that takes this approach. It's very holistic, 3 weeks, that really helps them introspectively find out who they are and redefine themselves, find their purpose and passion of what it is they want to do next, and then help them lock on to the right career that matches their interest, their purpose, and their passion, so they don't waste time going from job to job to job to job trying to find what fits.
Right.
We help them narrow it down real quickly.
That's great, because in the next segment, we're going to talk to our good friends, John Funk from Easter Seals of Southern California. We're going to talk about exactly that. What's your passion? What are you passionate about? And that's the heart. But when you get out, you don't think about that. You're thinking about, I need to get to my next paycheck, right? But sometimes that paycheck's not coming, because we talked about a statistic, how many of these guys that are getting out and gals go on unemployment.
So right now, of the 200,000 that are getting out, about 53% go on unemployment insurance.
That is ridiculous.
It's insane. It's
and it's because they don't know what they want to do.
Exactly. So we kind of beat them up and say, well, just do a resume. Just go find a job. Well, if 80% aren't really certain about what it is they want to do, how can I go find something that I'm not passionate about?
Right.
And there's another statistic out there from the Gardner Group that says about 70% of most Americans don't like their jobs. You can actually transfer that over to veterans because, you know, once we get out, we become part of, you know, American society.
Right.
So you have a large percentage of people that are working in jobs that they're not satisfied with or passionate about.
All right. We're going to talk in just a second about how we need to spread this message, not only from San Diego, but across the nation. You're listening to Brave Radio here on KCBQ, AM 1170, The Answer. Streaming live on the web at am1170theanswer.com. I'm your host, Eve Nasby, here with Maurice Wilson from ReBoot. Let's talk about expanding this program. We've got it going here in San Diego, right? Where are we going next? Where are we?
So right now we're in San Diego.
Okay.
We've been up in North County, up at the Military Veteran Resource Center in Escondido. We've been in Irvine, California. We've been in Los Angeles. We've been in Michigan, Detroit, Michigan, Norfolk, Virginia, and now we're geared up to take the program to the state of Indiana, as well as Washington, D.C. in March of this year.
That is tremendous. And so you also break it down because sometimes women's issues in the military are different than the men's issues. Talk about that.
See, this is what's unique about it. We don't treat everybody the same. You know, right now, a lot of programs really treat you the same. It's just about a job. Where every single one of us, we're unique and we have our own set of issues and challenges. When you look at, let's say, the women in the military, they have a whole nother set of challenges beyond most male comprehension.
Right.
And so they need, I don't want to call it special attention, but they need the right attention.
We need special attention.
Okay,
I'll just say
that.
it.
They need the right program to address the right unique needs that they have. And so we recognize that, and we started featuring all female only workshops, which turned out to be amazing.
I'll bet, because now you've got a group of women who feel free to share what's really going on inside their heads, right?
What's going on inside their heads, their hearts, some of the pain that they're feeling.
Right.
We're finding that a big percentage of women have been sexually traumatized. I won't get into all the percentages, but it's pretty alarming.
Yes.
And the current system doesn't really allow for them to really get that out. Because in some cases, there's like this code in the military that, you don't say anything, you just suck it up.
Right.
And so we found in our workshops that so many women have just sucked it up and internalized it, haven't even shared it with their husbands, their family. And they get out and they try to live a normal life.
Yes.
Well, you can't live a normal life with that kind of pain going on inside your head. You need a mechanism or a place where you could get it out. And we provide that kind of environment. And it's been insanely successful.
You know, Maurice, I went to one of your workshops for women and I had a booth there because I wanted to help these women find jobs, right? And so naturally, they brought their resumes. And I will never forget, this lady walked up to me, handed me her resume. Her resume was off the charts amazing. Project management, super smart. And I, in all honesty, looked her right in the face and I said, "You are amazing." And I smiled at her and she began to weep.
Yeah.
She said, "Nobody's ever told me that before." And I was floored. I had to sit down. I'm like, are you kidding me? And so there are those issues with women that have never been truly appreciated, or they feel like they've got to stuff all that stuff down. And your program helps.
Well, you hear stories like that, and then you hear them say things like, well, I have to be a mom at home and take care of everybody. And then when I go to work, I have to take care of everybody. A lot of them are so used to externally taking care of everybody else.
Yes,
they have completely forgotten about themselves. They've almost become desensitized to who they are. And so what the workshop does is help them reconnect with who they are, their purpose and passion. And being in a workshop with other women who are going through the same scenario situation, it's a refreshing thing for them to get it out, talk it through, relearn and rebuild. And here's something that I did not comprehend. In the workshop, we had a lot of women say things like, "You helped me get my femininity back." Well, I didn't even know you lost it. It was like, what? But again,
that makes sense, though.
It does.
You got boots, you've got mud, you're crawling underneath barbed wire.
When you come in the military, you have to jettison your femininity to become part of the organization, one of the fellas, so to speak. And so when you're in a squadron or a unit, you're acting just like the guys.
Right.
And that goes on and on and on. And so it's hard to regain your identity and who you are and get that back. And so it's some amazing things that take place, and we're really honored to be able to provide this service.
Well, I'm honored to have you on the show and talking about this. So we're going to talk about some events, but before we do, I'd like for you to tell our listeners, if you've got a business out there, if you've got opportunities to give money to an organization that's doing great things, this is free for the veterans, but it's not free to put on. Maurice,
absolutely.
How do companies get a hold of you to donate?
They can visit our website, www.rebootworkshop.vet. They can call me personally. My phone number is on the website. Just contact us. Okay. And you're absolutely right, Eve. The workshop is completely free for the individual. And oh, by the way, we support these individuals for the rest of their life. So once they're in the program, they become alumni, and it doesn't matter what part of the country they go to, we're going to provide support to them. But again, we rely upon donations, contribution, philanthropic support, to really make this happen, because our veterans shouldn't suffer no matter who they are, no matter what they've done. And, we can't look at the external and say, oh, they don't need help. Every single person needs some help with their transition, especially on the enlisted side, because every single enlisted person went through boot camp and transformed to become a military asset.
Yes.
Whether they know it or not, you have to transform to get back to who you want to be.
Right.
And that's what we do.
That's awesome. All right, we're running out of time. Tell us about these events that are coming up. I am really curious about Arizona Diamondbacks. That's kind of cool.
So one of our, I guess you could say, partners out there is Major League Baseball. And they have a wonderful event called their annual Diversity Summit that's taking place in March in Phoenix, Arizona. It's March 7th, 8th, and 9th. Okay. And they want to bring veterans there to learn about Major League Baseball and how to get into the industry. So they're going to have, everyone's going to be there. All the teams are going to be, but this is the back end stuff.
Right.
And they want 25 veterans or military from San Diego to come.
Okay.
And so just contact me through rebootworkshop.vet. And if you're interested, and we'll work with you to help you get out there. We're talking to like Hilton. Most people don't know that the Hilton Hotel has a little program that if you're a veteran traveling for a job interview, they'll pay for your accommodation.
Oh my gosh.
Most people don't know that.
All right, we need to put that on our Facebook page.
Yeah.
We need to get that out there. That's great. I didn't know that.
And we found out that Southwest Airlines, we're still confirming this with Southwest Airlines, has a similar program also, where they'll sponsor your flight so you can get to it. So there's no excuse.
That's right.
Of not going to all these places to participate in these wonderful events. And so I encourage everyone that's interested in participating and going to the Major League Baseball Diversity Summit. They're going to have a special session set aside just for veterans.
That's awesome. All right. And then last but not least, the industry overview. Talk to us about all these events you've got coming up February through May.
So a lot of events happening. And again, one of the things that we look at is instead of crowding people in a room and saying, okay, this is a job fair, it seeks to confuse them even more. Because many people come into a job fair and they really don't know what they're looking for. So they walk around from vendor to vendor to vendor to vendor, and then they'll walk out.
Yes.
And then you'll ask them, well, did you find anything? No. What were you looking for? I don't know. Just hoping something would fall this way.
Yes.
So we found that more is not better in this situation. So what we're featuring this year are what we call industry overviews. And we're kind of identifying key industries that have tremendous job potential and employers are looking at them. And we're starting with, in February, we're starting with what we call the water, wastewater industry. So in February, they're holding their annual conference here at the Hilton Bayfront Hotel. They're going to be 200 employers from across the country that are looking for veterans, that want to hire veterans. But they're going to talk to you about what's going on in industry, what you need to do to get into it, how it's been for them. They have an aging workforce. So most of these people in this industry, they're aging out. They're in their 60s. And so there's going to be a big turnover. So the industry is looking at replenishing, the workforce. And so we're going to do that. We're going to also follow up in March with the financial services overview. So instead of a career fair, we're just going to eliminate a lot of the background noise and just focus in on some nice little events where you can come and learn about this specific industry if you're interested.
I love it. Give that website out one more time.
ReBootWorkshop.vet.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us today. Maurice Wilson from Operation ReBoot. It's a pleasure.
It's a pleasure.
I get so excited every time we start talking.
Same here. Thank you.
Thank
so
you.
much.
You're listening to Brave Radio, where we focus on matching veteran talent with innovative companies that make a difference in our community and in our nation. Follow us on Twitter at BraveJobs or like us on Facebook to stay up to date with the latest news and trends. I'm your host, Eve Nasby, and we will be right back after this short break. Don't go away.
Easter Seals Work First Military and Veteran Services provides free one-on-one personalized employment assistance for local veterans through their Bob Hope Veteran Support Program. Easter Seals' team of employment specialists is dedicated to achieving successful, long-term job placements that benefit both the veteran and the employer. Learn more about how you can receive services, connect with a future employee, or make a donation by visiting easterseals.com/SouthernCal. That's easterseals.com/
Welcome back. You're listening to Brave Radio, where we focus on matching veteran talent with innovative companies that make a difference in our community and in our nation. Here in studio with us once again is our great friend Kaz and John from Easter Seals of Southern California. Welcome back, gentlemen.
Oh, thank you for having us.
You're welcome. Hey, John, you're first up. I want our listeners who may not have tuned in for the last couple of weeks to hear about, just real briefly, about your military background and then a high-level overview of what Easter Seals of Southern California is all about.
Well, thanks, Eve. It's great to be here. I had a wonderful career in the Navy. I served for 28 plus years, primarily as a helicopter pilot, and had the good fortune to command a big deck amphibious assault ship here in Southern California.
My goodness. I
transitioned from the Navy about 3.5 years ago, and I was one of those guys that was not totally sure what I was going to do and how I was going to apply my skills in the civilian workforce. I had a civilian job with the government for a short period of time, but then I found Easter Seals of Southern California. We were starting a new program for employment for the military veterans to provide them one-on-one support customized to their own individual needs as they were trying to achieve their own definition of meaningful employment. And thanks to a very generous grant through the Bob Hope Legacy Foundation, we were able to bring this program to light and have been able to support veterans here in Southern California for the last 2 years.
And you're doing such a tremendous job. So many success stories, and we're going to get into those in a little bit. But, last week we talked about this progression. So we've got this series going, and we're talking about the progression when somebody transfers from the military into the civilian workforce. It's not easy, as our last guest, Maurice Wilson from ReBoot, was talking about. Last week we talked about discovery, starting a person on that path of determining what they're passionate about. And now we're looking at the next phase of the process where they're actually taking their military skills and translating them for a civilian employer. We in corporate America are leaving talent on the table, I think, John. There's a lot of companies out there that want to hire people, and they see a resume that's got military jargon all over it, and they just put it aside because they don't understand it. So why is it so hard for folks to translate their military skills into civilian language so people like me on the corporate side can understand it?
I think the challenge is it's not necessarily hard. It's just it's unknown. If that individual has been in the military since they graduated from high school, that's the only language that they've spoken. So in many ways, like most businesses, they have a very particular language to them. It can be very acronym centric. Right. We can all probably baffle one another, whether it's in the medical field or the insurance field, the financial world, the military. Right? We can alter that language and just speak in kind of that very centric language. The challenge is helping those individuals identify that language is not understood by an outside world. So in many ways, one of our kind of a test is, hey, what if you were telling your mom what you did?
Right.
Describe it in language that maybe your mother could understand.
And then she'd have to write it down.
Or it's how much would you be willing to talk about what you did? Right. But that's the challenge, is to get the veteran to talk about what they did in that language. And Kaz was my colleague. Kaz was a special operator in the Marine Corps for several years, and he had a very combat-centric job. It's difficult to kind of take that tactical military language and translate that.
Oh, absolutely. Because funny enough, they were just talking about the MOS translators and things of that nature. Well, I looked at an MOS translator and it says I have no skills that directly translate. So I personally could not use that.
Bess.
Oh, that's all right. So when you're doing things like you're a critical skills operator or you're in the special operations field, well, there are not many things that are directly related to what we do. But when it comes down to it, when you're translating your military skills, one, it's an unknown language. All right, as John was saying, it's something that is very uncommon, especially if you didn't work in the workforce prior to going into the military, which happens to be a large percentage. And then one thing that no one seems to bring up is that we have a sense of humility to ourselves. We're very humble in the military community. And a resume is you're talking about your accomplishments and what you did. And you sometimes you have to turn that switch on in order to be able to do that. So, though I don't like to use the word hard, it's not hard. It's just different. It's not something we're used to. So you have to kind of learn it through experience or learn it through someone else's experience, which is why we, at the Easter Seals team and the Bob Hope Veteran Support Program come in hand to help, because we have the experience. We understand it by our own experiences.
So you've got listeners out there right now that are military and they're banging their head against the wall because they don't know how to translate their resume. Say that they've got these combat skills. How would you recommend that they translate the combat skills that they have into a civilian resume?
Instead of, for me personally, and when I help people with combat skills, what was its purpose? Like, what did you, when you were doing what you were doing, what was his purpose? The purpose was to accomplish a mission.
Taking out the bad guy.
Well,
right?
that's a a generalization, I guess you could say. But ultimately, that was their mission. They had something that they were trying to accomplish. And if you happen to focus on how you were able to accomplish it, then you're translating to a skill that everyone can understand. I led a team, and our job was to do X, Y, Z, so on and so forth. And it's different depending on who the person is in front of you. But it's more of, I'm a sniper, so I know how to shoot a long rifle. Like that's
all I know.
Yeah, no, like you have to understand that you have to be able to be independent, think outside the box, be quick-witted, your ability to take a lot of information and process that information and then go ahead and, come up with a conclusion or a solution. So these are the types of things that a lot of people who don't have the experience yet trying to figure it out on their own will end up getting because it will become more fluent to them.
You're listening to Brave Radio here on KCBQ, AM 1170theanswer.com, streaming live on the web at am1170theanswer.com. I'm your host, Eve Nasby, here with Kaz and John from the Easter Seals of Southern California. Guys, talked about what are some of the parts of a military language that are most confusing for a civilian employer. We talked about the acronyms. What else on there is the most confusing?
I think a lot of times one of the biggest challenges when the military individual goes way tactical and they speak in that language. So you just brought up that example with Kaz with regard to, okay, well, you were shooting at somebody. Well, there's more to just the shooting at somebody. It's that, as Kaz mentioned, it's dissecting the entire mission. So there's a strategy. So there's strategy development. Why are you doing a particular thing? There's the technical skills of maybe it's operating a piece of equipment. But there's more than just the operating the equipment. A lot of times it's your ability to maintain that.
Right.
Do you understand the maintenance? Do you train others on the operation of the equipment? Is there an aspect of the supply chain management to keep that equipment operational for extended periods of time in harsh environments? So there's a lot of kind of dissecting that skill that part of what we do is really help those veterans step back and look at it from kind of the big picture. But a lot of times when you're thinking about working in a particular field, maybe it's the public affairs community. Let's say it's something that's AT&T. We had a guest here earlier. Maybe on the AT&T side, if it's technical with regard to telephone operations, maybe cell phone tower maintenance, well, take your military skill, think about how your skills align with the requirements of the particular job or what they're looking for, and then identify where you can create those parallel comparisons so the employer can see that your skills actually translate and are well aligned with what they're looking for. That's the challenge, is being able to speak about your skills and experience in a language that the employer can make that connection.
Right. And that's a good lesson for us as employers too, is to look beyond what is written on that resume and kind of put some thought into, okay, what really had to happen before this person got to this point. And I had the privilege of working with the Veterans Association of North County, and I helped a gentleman. And it's funny that we talk about sniper. He was a sniper, and I use this example when I speak. He handed me his resume, and it said sniper. That's all I did. And that was all that was on his resume and the dates. And I'm like, okay, let's talk about this. What type of leadership experience do you have? Well, nothing. I'm like, oh my gosh, did you have anybody reporting to you? Yes. Okay, that's leadership. That's management. And you had to really break it down because, Kaz, to your point, guys don't like to talk about themselves.
Well,
they
absolutely.
talk about the team.
Yeah, and on to that is that it's not always about your main job, as we call it, your MOS in the Marine Corps.
Right.
There were so many auxiliary things that we did, that you just don't even think of. You stood duty. So you got to understand the importance of standing duty. You're, if we're talking in civilian terms, the executive level management of your company gave you the responsibility to oversee every aspect of that company and ensure that the equipment is safe, the personnel are safe, that that something outside of the ordinary isn't going to happen. Right. Well, that's a whole lot of responsibility. You imagine if you worked for AT&T and they had a thing called standing duty and the executive or the vice president was like, you're in charge. Yeah. like no one seems to bring that into effect. Like, let's go and take it. And it's usually young.
Yes.
Usually we're, I like to think about it. If you think about World War II, not even my generation of people who served in combat, it was predominantly, you had 21, 22-year-old, in a sense, young men fighting a war that is bigger than everything that you can even put into words. They were handling airplanes, 26-year-old commanders of a lot of people. Like, you got to understand that the amount of responsibility that this nation gives to our military personnel is not something you can directly translate onto a resume. So, well, what do we do about that? Well, that's why we're here. That's why we're talking on the radio, in order to get that perception out there that just because they may not seem like they have a lot on their resume, or they're talking in terms that maybe you do not understand, which, you know, that happens all the time, they have a lot to offer. You know, like, we'll take John, for instance. John's a young man, and John was a commander of a large vessel that had a lot of responsible people under him, and it was worth a lot of money. Well, let's really think about that in terms of what he did. You know, we may say things like, you know, you were command level, and maybe the civilian population doesn't understand what that means. It's a lot of responsibility. But take the E3, E4, well, they're in charge of maybe the supply locker that's worth, you know, a couple $1 million.
Right.
That's the things we're trying to put out there and make sure that they get it on their resume, that you were in charge of something, or you're responsible for something, and your skill sets may not directly align into a particular job, but it didn't align to the military when you went in. So your ability to learn a job far exceeds the abilities that maybe the civilian population doesn't understand.
I think a lot of times it's looking hard at what you've done and looking both at the hard skills and the soft skills that you acquired in the execution of your job in the military. So again, let's the young man that's in charge of that particular locker. There's the technical aspect of kind of maintaining the equipment, but there's the trust and confidence side of he's being held to stand duty, where he is. It's like giving the keys to the shop and saying, I trust you with my money to close up the shop at the end of the night. You can account for me. You're gonna turn off the lights and you're gonna lock the doors, and I'm gonna sleep peacefully at night as a business owner, knowing that you are responsible and that you've got that level of accountability. That's what we help the veteran do, to kind of see that there's skills beyond just that hard and fast, this is what I did in the military. We recently saw a documentary where somebody said, well, your military skills are just that. They're just military skills. I thought that comment was so far off the mark because it didn't really, it actually kind of boxed in the veteran instead of liberating the veteran about the wide range of responsibilities that they actually had.
And on that point, there are generalizational stereotypes that are associated with being a veteran, you know, some positive, some negative. I think if employers were going to do anything to be a support network for a veteran, because your job is, in a sense, a good part of who you become. It is. Well, let's go ahead and start slanting that negative stereotype to a positive. What positive aspects do you get from that? You know, there is lots of things that come with being a human being. Like, that's just as simple as it comes, you know, and a veteran is a human being, regardless of, you know, what they may or may have not done, which that movie happened to bring it to light for me. Like, just let's go and turn those things, and starts with that resume. All
right, you guys, we're running short on time. Tell our listeners how they can get a hold of you for additional assistance for themselves or somebody that they know that's in transition and struggling.
They're welcome to go to our website, easterseals.com/SouthernCal. And that's the best way to find us, is easterseals.com/SouthernCal. And that'll provide a direct link to our military veteran services and ways to contact us from there.
All right, John and Kaz, thank you so much for being a part of our show again. And I look forward to next week.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
You're listening to Brave Radio, where we focus on matching veteran talent with innovative companies that make a difference in our community and in our nation. Follow us on Twitter @BraveJobs or like us on Facebook to stay up to date with the latest news and trends. I'm your host, Eve Nasby, and we will be right back after the short break. Don't go away.
Fight like a soldier, rise like a warrior.
Hey, boss.
Yeah.
I need to hire someone. Our workload's increased, and man, I could use some help.
What are you looking for?
I need someone unlike Ben, who doesn't freak out, you know, when the copier breaks and the phones are down and the receptionist calls in sick.
What do you need?
Leadership. I need a leader who can just get it done with little direction and ahead of time would be great. With the prima donnas floating around our department like Sally and Jason, it's a challenge, man, to get things done. I need a team player, trained in leadership, confident in their abilities, and adaptable to change.
You know, there's only one place you're going to find talent like that.
Show me where.
Our United States veterans. Call Eve right now at 619-244-3000 or log on to thebrave.us and let's hire a veteran. It's good for business. It's good for America.
Brave is a part of America's largest service-disabled veteran-owned business, Merit Consulting. We are dedicated to placing great companies with great veterans. Welcome back. You're listening to Brave Radio, where we focus on matching veteran talent with innovative companies that make a difference in our community and in our nation. Here in studio on our final segment is the one and only Barry Waxler.
Just you and me, baby.
This is weird. This is just weird. For our listeners, I want you to know that for months, Barry Waxler sat in my seat and I was a guest, and that's how this whole thing got started. So I guess we could say Brave Radio in part is not your fault.
This is just another extension from Close Up.
It is. So Barry, you did Close Up on San Diego business for
See, I did a good job
years.
and you just took it over and made it better.
Well, you focused on all the great companies in San Diego, and now we're focusing on great companies and veterans, and you have a business. So tell our listeners what you do for a living.
Well, I'm a financial planner I do a number of different things in financial planning, but most people don't understand what financial planners do. They think they're stockbrokers or they think they're something else. What we do is we look at people, find out what they want to accomplish, and then build a plan to make that happen. That means we have to dig in and use all the different disciplines, the insurance, the real estate, the securities, the legal, the tax. We have to put all that together to create a plan.
And so veterans are coming out of the military with little to no money, and they're looking for work, which is what we've been talking about on these segments. So how do you help these veterans keep what they have and then grow it?
Well, why don't we start out by talking about a little free money concept?
Oh, I like if it's free, it's for me.
Free money concept. Okay, I got an email from the California Department of Insurance. Okay, saying make sure you tell all your clients about this, and I thought it was absolutely perfect for our veteran community. It's called, as we're getting into tax season now. Okay, there are tax credits available for different people, different families. Okay, so both California and federal have an earned income tax credit, and I'm going to give you a website to go to.
Okay,
go to calitc4me.org. CALIT. I'm sorry. CAL. I'm trying to read my own writing. CALEITC. The number 4me.org.
All right. We'll also put that on our website just in case you didn't get that.
And that's a great thing. That you can go on and have a little calculator there. It'll tell you a lot of veterans will qualify for California and federal earned income tax credits, and it'll put a few $1,000s back in your pocket if you qualify.
Oh my goodness.
Okay. And it's, California has been mandated to, start giving away the money that they put aside for all that legislation. So that's just one of the little things we do. We look for opportunities to pass off to our clients.
So we've got somebody who maybe not making a lot of money, and they'd say, well, Barry, financial planners are for really wealthy people. What would you say to that?
Well, it all depends on your situation. And Eve, we've known each other for a while. I take on a client, I don't take on a job. Okay. So, for example, a lot of people want to find different ways to leverage different things, and financial planning is all about leverage. So finding the right ways to make the most out of what you have today.
I like what you say about that, because Barry, one of the things on your show, you would talk about using what you have to leverage, not necessarily saving all that you can, because that really doesn't make any money for you.
I see you listen.
I did listen. I got an A+ for listening.
Yes, you do. You get an A++. Right. So anyway, I used to work with another author of a book called Stop Sitting on Your Assets. Okay. Loved the name of the book. Author was Marion Snow. She was awesome. The book is not necessarily appropriate anymore, so I wouldn't go looking for it on Amazon or anything. But, what she used to say to me all the time was, nobody ever gets rich by saving money. You get rich or you get wealthy by leveraging the money that you have.
That's right.
Okay.
That's right.
So what we do is we teach people how to make the most out of what they have. That starts out with finding out how, what their risk tolerance is for any different method of financial planning. So for example, one of the things I told you I would talk about today is how to become your own bank. Okay. Yes. And, we all have our bank, and we've all been taught all these things all our life. You go into the bank, you put your paycheck in the bank, you let the bank, earn whatever it can for you, which if you're lucky, you get a fraction of a percent.
Right.
Okay.
Unless I get 6 cents a quarter or something.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And you have to pay tax on it, so you lose money on that too. So your 6 cents a quarter is now worth about 4 cents a quarter. So anyway, what we do is we've negotiated programs with different vendors. I didn't create any of this. I just found the best way to put this out. It always brings me back to my little philosophy of, do you want to be a pioneer or an innovator? And a pioneer is somebody that's created everything and taken all the licks and done all that. An innovator is somebody that's taken everything the pioneer's done. And by the way, the only thing a pioneer ever gets is narrow in the ass. So we take the innovator side to take all of the positive stuff of what the pioneers have done and put it in play.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So become your own bank. We have a firm which is one of the large investment managers, which will give you all kinds of options to manage, from ultra conservative to ultra aggressive. Okay, so we set up an account. The first thing we do is we set up a bank account with an internet-based bank.
Okay.
Bancorp Bank will allow us to set up a bank account, and they'll actually give us 35 basis points, or virtually 1/3% on money sitting in the checking account.
Okay.
Okay. Tell me where you've ever heard of anybody doing that. Okay.
There goes my 6 cents. I think I just multiplied it.
Yeah. Now you got 35 cents.
I got 35 cents.
Cool.
I like this already.
Yeah. So we while the money's in the bank, you're getting your 35 basis points, or your 1/3%. Then we link that account, and all the wealthy people know exactly how to do this. It's called a margin account. But we're not doing it in a margin account. We're just linking an investment account to your checking account. So you can filter money back and forth from checking to savings. You can be in a short-term bond fund and get, at the very least, we have bond funds that have high dividends. One right now is paying about 3.9% per year.
This is so exciting.
So if you can have your money in the bank down at the street corner where you can go knock on the door when they're not open, okay? Or you can have your money on the internet where they're open 24 hours.
Earning interest.
And you can leverage it when you're not making money, when you're not needing the money to use to expense, you have it in the investment account. When you do need to pay the mortgage, pay the bills, do all that stuff, you put it in the bank account, and it's all done. You can do it all online. We can help you do all that. We can, what I typically recommend is everybody goes in and takes their paycheck and auto deposit their paycheck right into the investment account, and then move it over to the checking account whenever you need to spend it. Okay. And if you want to leverage a little bit further, you take every single dime you spend and you put it on your MasterCard or Visa or American Express. Then you go in once a month and you pull the money out of the investment account into the checking account, make one payment to your credit card, and now your money's been working for you the whole time, and you get the 25-day grace period from your MasterCard, so you're not paying interest on the money.
Oh, my goodness. That is awesome. You're listening to Brave Radio here on KCBQ AM 1170 The Answer, streaming live on the web at am1170theanswer.com. I'm your host, Eve Nasby, here with Barry Waxler, who is teaching us how to become our own bank. I like that idea a lot.
Yeah. There are so many different tips and tricks. There's so many things that, what's the difference between somebody of high net worth versus the working class people out there?
The high net worth people know actually what to do with their money and make their money work for them.
Why do they know what to do while other people don't?
Because they have people like you.
They hire high-end advisors to teach them all this stuff.
Yep.
Okay. And because a lot of them are self-employed, not all, a lot of them are self-employed, they find the different ways to leverage. Okay. You know, you walk into an employer's office and they have a 401k, and a lot of people are too scared to put the money into their 401k.
Oh, yeah.
But then they turn around and they say, well, we're going to give you 10 cents on the dollar, 50 cents on the dollar as a matching formula. Do you know why employers do that?
No.
Because if employers want to put money away for themselves, they have to drive the percentage of participation of the rank and file employee up. The only way they do that is by giving some free money.
Got it.
Because the employer is limited to put in as much as 2% above the average of all the employees, the non-highly compensated employees. So they turn around and they say, well, we're going to give you 50 cents. You put this money. Oh, I'm going to get all my free money. And it drives the employer up without a tremendous expense to the employer.
Let's circle back. If people want, as we're running short on time, people want more information about how you, Barry Waxler, can help the average Joe like me be their own bank, keep more of what I earn. How do we get a hold of you?
Okay. Email bwaxler@barrywaxler.com. That's BWAXLER @barrywaxler.com. Or they can call me. I'll give out my toll-free number there.
Toll-free, okay.
Okay, only you have my cell phone.
Okay.
So my toll-free number is 1-800-341-5433, 1-800-341-5433. And call me. If you have questions, I'm happy to get on the phone and talk to you. I'm happy to get you emails. You have a question, consider me a resource hotline, whether you ever use my services or not. That's my method of giving back to the community.
And you do an exceptional job, Barry. Thank you for what you do here in San Diego. Thank you for what you do for all of us. Great. It's a pleasure to have you on the show.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I'm Eve Nasby, and you've been listening to Brave Radio here on KCBQ AM 1170 The Answer. If you want to find out more about how you can hire top veteran talent, or if you're interested in being a guest on our show, visit our webpage at www.thebrave.us. Send us a tweet at Brave Jobs or like our Facebook page. From all of our guests and me, thanks for joining us. And until next Monday, may God bless our veterans and God bless America.
Thanks for listening to Brave Radio. If you know a veteran looking for work, or if your company is hiring, call Eve at Brave at 619-244-3000. Give her a tweet at Brave Jobs and connect with them on Facebook. To be a guest on the show, visit thebrave.us.